I'm Rob Gerling. It's my pleasure to welcome you to Artefact. I'm co-founder and co-CEO with Gavin, the tall guy walking back there. He's the other co-founder and CEO of Artefact. We've been around 13 years, and this will be the largest summit-like thing we've ever done here. So thank you for coming on a Saturday. We hold a lot of community events here. Sometimes as many as like 2 a week, but this is probably the most sort of coordinated effort we've ever made to make it seem really buttoned up, and so I hope it goes well and I hope it goes smoothly. Thank you for taking a Saturday out of your lives to come together as a community, as an emerging community, I think, of people who really want to do a better job of thinking about how technology impacts society and us as individuals. So I think this is the common ground that we occupy is how do we do a better job? How do we think through what we're doing with technology? How do we think about the governance of it and the legislation around it? How do we think about the design of it? How do we think about the understanding the real problems that are out there fundamentally with good research? How do we think in systems? How do we think about the ethical implications of our work? All of these big questions that are now very much becoming the dialogue in certainly my community, which is the design community. At Artefact, we've been thinking about how to do what we do responsibly for a couple of years now. And that means really going down a lot of roads and thinking about a lot of new methods that take what used to be just human-centered design or user-centered design and really think much more broadly about our impact than just the implications of on a user or just building a user experience. We have to think about systems now. We have to think about all of the impacted stakeholders when we put new technology into the world. We have to think about the ethical implications of what we're doing. We have to think about the consequences, the unintended and intended consequences of what we're striving to do. What is it that we're striving towards in the future? What is that vision that we're striving to create for a better future? So our purpose as a company to design a more equitable and sustainable future is increasingly the locus of our work, and it's really difficult. I will not lie to you. This is absolutely pushing us very hard to consider all of our methods and techniques, because what we do at great speed in the design process, and it's really hard to do this kind of thoughtful work at speed. So it does require new methods, new conversations, new participants in this conversation around design. What has been a quite isolated discipline, design, I think increasingly is multidisciplinary. We have here, I think, let's just get a show of hands. How many people actually think of themselves as a designer of some kind? So actually, okay, so maybe a third. A technologist of some kind. Okay, maybe another third. And humanities from like social research or social science. Okay, so about a third. And students. Okay, another third somehow. But anyway, so they increasingly a diverse community of interests and professional disciplines involved in what we're doing, and that's really good and new in how we do what we do. But I don't want to get too in deep on what we do at Artefact. We have a couple of speakers today. Cheryl's doing the wrap-up session, the strategy session today. She's from Artefact. She's going to help us all think practically about what to do, and that's from 3 to 4. And we have a lot of really good speakers. So, I mean, people have come from across the country, possibly internationally, to entertain us all today, and some lightning talks. It's going to be, I think it's going to be really exciting. So I'm really jazzed to be here, and look forward to meeting all of you. And with no further, I won't get any further into it, but introduce and please welcome David.
All right, thank you, Rob. All right, first off, how's everybody doing? Doing all right? Okay, good. You have your coffee. Those donuts look pretty good. I was busy. I didn't even get a donut yet. So hopefully there's a donut left when I'm off. but I just, first off, want to thank everybody who came from near and far to be here today, because what we're doing is really something that's a little different than, I'm sure you go to a lot of conferences. It's different than most conferences. What we're trying to do is, instead of taking a top-down approach, it's more citizen-led. So what I'm going to do in just a minute here, I have a couple slides to kind of set up the frame of mind of what we're all here doing. Because you might have woken up this morning and said, all right, what is this event? What is All Tech is Human Seattle? What's it all about? What is even the phrase all tech is human? What does that mean? Really, when we think about it, technology, right, created by us, sitting in this room, people near and far, therefore it should benefit humanity. And it should also incorporate a lot of the ideals, the norms of behavior that we're always thinking about. That's what I want you to conceive of today, right? You're going to meet a lot of interesting people. And if there was a major takeaway at the first Ethical Tech Summit that we had on October 20th in Manhattan, it was the take where somebody came up to me and others and they said, holy shit, there's a lot of people that are interested in this. I was sitting at home and I thought I was the only one who cared about ethics. I'm a technologist and I had concerns. Or I'm a designer and I want to get involved. I'm in the humanities and I think that maybe Silicon Valley needs more fuzzies. And we have a lightning talk talking about fuzzies coming up. But the idea is that technology is not owned by technologists. Technology is intertwined with society, right? Therefore, it behooves us as humanity, as a society, to have a societal type of response to that. And that means that, similar to democracy, we need to have some level of voice, some level of participation. And frankly, I think that's what's been missing from a lot of this conversation. We have great people, talented people, come up with great phrases, but where are we? Where's our ability to actually impact the design, the implementation of technology? Because these are hot topics. Look at anything going on in the news, right? You have San Francisco a couple days ago saying, hey, we're banning facial technology recognition. That's a major step. So we see the potential benefits, we see the drawbacks, we read about a dystopian future that could potentially happen, but where's our ability to participate in this conversation, right? So I'm just gonna bring up a couple slides. Also, again, thank you all for being here, but thank you. Let's give a big round of applause to Artefact as our beautiful host. Lovely space. And I think this view will be out here in the cocktail at 4 o'clock. It's even going to get nicer now that they're taking down this ugly highway behind us. So the views now, I think your rent might be going up. But nonetheless, I also want to thank the Tech and Society Solutions Lab at Omidyar Network, our sponsor, and then our community partners for today. So everybody should have a program. Look through, connect with these people, and also connect with all the people on stage, right? Because that's your tribe. Again, people coming from all different places of the country, different walks of life. The phrase I hear all the time is, who's involved in this? Who do I talk to? Well, you know what? Now you've got a list of 25 people you should talk to, right? People always wonder, how do I get plugged in? That's one of the goals here for All Tech is Human as an organization, is to actually create a system to say, all right, I want to get involved. How do I make that happen? So let me just do like a 5-minute kind of slide, which should give us kind of the frame of mind that we're thinking about with these issues. Okay. Okay. If it stays on loading, I'm just going to have to do a lot of improv, but that's fine. So I'm a co-host of Funniest Tech. We're in an improv theater. But anyhow, so again, welcome. What we're trying to do is co-create a more thoughtful future towards technology. If there's an emphasis, if there's a place where we could bold the already bold text right there, it's on the co-creation. What we've seen time and time again is we're trying to look up at people. We're saying, God, you know, how come Jack Dorsey can't be a little different? How come Mark Zuckerberg can't instill more ethical framework in how he's designing Facebook. But I think that's missing the point. It's missing the point that we shouldn't be looking for tech saviors. We should be looking for a different paradigm shift, a change in the process of saying, well, it shouldn't just be all up to Mark Zuckerberg. If it's all up to one person, that's frankly against our American ideals of concentration of power, right? These are big issues. Again, technology is not for technologists. Technology is society. Technology is democracy, right? Just quickly, I think what's happening right now, if we're looking at 2019, is we're having a little bit of an existential crisis where we're saying, my God, this technology in the pipeline, it's a big freaking deal, right? We're blurring the lines between fact and fiction. What's going on with synthetic media, human-computer brain interface? These are big deals, right? It's altered how we live, how we learn, how we love, even how we die. And this is true, right? That's Eternomy out of MIT, which allows you to Skype with your deceased loved ones, creating kind of an avatar of the person. The main kicker is that we need to step back and actually say, this is a big deal. We're not just creating something cool. We're creating something that is altering how I view the world. It's altering how I make friends, how I find loved ones, how I even relate to love, how I relate to reality. It can't get a bigger deal than that, right? So we look at some of the biggest issues. We've got, the Google duplex. You've got Facebook working on their human-computer interface, right? Allowing your thoughts to go to the web. Wow, I can't imagine how that's going to potentially go sideways. But I mean, think about it. I want more of my unrefined thoughts to go to a social network. That's going to work out well. And then you have Lina Moquela, the virtual influencer, who has more followers than anybody today, right? I think she's got 1.3 on Instagram. The important part, right, is that we have so many technologies that behoove us to actually be thoughtful, to actually dial that back a little bit and say, okay, I'm not anti-something, but you know what I am? I'm pro-humanity. I'm pro-making society a better place. I think the issue that's really going on is oftentimes when we're thinking about technology, we're looking for that silver bullet. We're saying, oh shit, this web is screwed up. There's a lot of misogyny, there's a lot of misinformation, there's hate speech. How do we fix it? Well, nobody goes around Seattle and said, how can I stop crime, right? How can I fix the plague of crime? We want to reduce crime. We come up with new ways. We react to other aspects that we see. We work with other people. We have a multidisciplinary approach. We allow civic participation. The main part of what we're trying to build here and why we're all here today is we are the ones that have been missing, right? Our voice, our ability to actually say, this is changing how I love and how I learn and how I live and how I die. Damn, I better have some ability to affect that. And this is where it's tricky, right? Because you have the private companies, but this is where we're starting to view it as some in-between, some quasi-utility, public utility. This is what we're doing. We're trying to inject more thoughtfulness. Just quickly, everybody, as they raise their hands with Rob's kind of questions, queries, coming up about this from different backgrounds, right? Whether it's humanities or straight CS, or now you have a lot of mix. We have a lot of college students here today. A lot of college students are actually, this is where I do have some hope. I know sometimes this gets dark, is that you have a lot of people who are saying, hey, I want to have a mix. Maybe it needs to be more interdisciplinary. Engineers generally like to say, kind of like we know from Jurassic Park, hey, I can make a dinosaur, right? That's cool. Yes, okay, so you can, but then the ethicist, that different viewpoint, should I? And I think the other part that maybe we've ignored, because there is a lot of overlap between law and ethics, as ethics tends to be kind of the canary in the coal mine of where law is potentially going to go, right? Everything in our life, it's been seen as unethical. Before it was seen as illegal. Just because something is technically legal doesn't mean it's ethical, right? What are those interplays between the two? Law looks at the must I or can't I, right? You have this great graphic. This was made with Omidyar. These are a lot of the issues that you're looking at today. So just quickly, what we're looking at today, you've got your choice of whether the panel on the main floor or upstairs. You can tailor it to your own kind of background and what you're curious about. The key part, because I see this all the time, is a lot of times somebody will say, all right, well, is this about the attention economy? And then the answer is yes. And you say, well, is it about the surveillance economy? The answer is yes, right? There's so many aspects. And this is where a graph like this helps out, because it shows that we're looking at this kind of holistically, or a 360-degree type of view. And that's something to keep in mind, because I think a lot of times we get very kind of closed off with it, and we think, okay, this is only about one issue. It's about a lot of issues. It's not just about making sure that we don't spend too much time on our smartphone. It's also about making sure that when we design smartphones, they're for everybody. It's about making sure that a lot of the overlooked voices that have historically been missing from the tech sector are included. How can we make that happen, right? These are civic response types of issues. Quickly, I think one of the problems is that we've divided our reaction to this in two main buckets. We've looked at either from the tech solutionism or the regulation. Either the, hey, I'm sorry I screwed up, and now I'm going to fix it, and I'm going to create a new app for you, right? So you have, this is a tech problem, here's a tech-based solution. I would argue that that's incomplete, and also I would argue that it's incomplete, even the Chris Hughes op-ed, that yes, we do need more governmental oversight or involvement, but can we expect that to save us? Again, I would argue that that's incomplete, because that's still not dealing with the problem that we are all here in Seattle today, and we do not have an ability to alter the course of our future. That's a problem, right? What's vibrating in your pocket is altering your trajectory in life. And you're saying, well, this is a power issue. This isn't a tech issue. This is an issue of, I want to make sure that I have the best life possible. And I need to have an ability, I need to have a voice in how this happens. So this is what All Tech is Human is all about, right? And this is what we're trying hard to build. So after Seattle, we have an event in San Francisco in September, and then we have another one in New York in November, and then we're increasing from there. The point is, we need to flip the script. It's great having thought leadership, but we also need to have civic-led types of response, right? It's impacting our lives, therefore we need to have a voice. That's obvious in democracy, but I would say that technology is democracy. And the phrase we might start looking at is that it's not a black or white issue. We need to somehow get comfortable dealing with the gray, dealing with the nuance, dealing with the fact that there are no good or perfect decisions. There's just the best decision you can make. There's always trade-offs. And this is where we think about the politics of technology that we're trying to build with this broad, inclusive, multidisciplinary type of approach. Two comments that I thought were interesting, actually a lot of interesting comments of people here today that were commenting when they were signing up to say, what are you looking for? What do you think should happen in the future, right? So you have this one individual saying that we need to actually connect. This key part, come to some consensus. Because a lot of times, think about these issues that are going on. People say, well, we need to fix the problem with speech online. Well, hold your horses. We need to define what type of speech we want to have online, what we deem appropriate online, and who is responsible for dealing with that power. And you also have another person here today commenting that we need this interdisciplinary approach. Need more people in government and the business roles. Also, what about the global aspect? I think that's what we're struggling with. The fact that we're viewing this as a state-by-state or a local issue in terms of a country, but all these companies are global. So how do we create a better response with that, right? Also like this one, saying, hey, it's great to talk about this, but how do we actually implement this? How do we collaborate? So if there's a key part today, I want you to find other people that inspire you, that interest you, that do something that you can't do. And then throughout the day, connect with them. Actually behind over here, to my right, that we call the mingle room. So when you find another person that you're like, hey, let's have a conversation, right? And this happened at our first Ethical Tech Summit, where a few people actually now are launching projects together because they said, wait a minute, we're all in the same space, but we're approaching this from different perspectives. If we team up, then we can be more powerful. So I would advise or kind of recommend that that could be a cool thing to do today too. All right, so in other words, as we're ending here, yes, we have a technology problem. We know this, but we need a societal solution. So again, thank you. And now please connect with me. Sign up at alltechishuman.com. If you have any ideas, send me an email. But without further ado, I'm just going to bring up the first lightning speaker that we're going to have. I'm just going to bring up her slides and then call her down. So again, thank you all for being here.